I'm going to give a quick brief rundown of my workflow from start to finish, how I import images, where I import them, folder organization, how to quickly cull with Photo Mechanic, then how to import into Lightroom your culled images, edit with Smart Previews, and export. So the full circle. It might not be the best process for you, but if you don't have one or you're exploring different options, this is a really strong start. So to begin with, I have a master external always connected to the computer. This backs up my images. This is a spot for me to back up where I'm editing, and it also backs everything up to a cloud. Then I have my main drive here that I use to edit on. So this is where I'm going to import everything. I keep no files on the computer. That's really important because that way it keeps the computer, the space free, and it running pretty quickly. So I'm going to put my first copy, it's going to be here, and then I'm going to back up on my second drive, which is my master, and then that's also going to back it up to a little cloud server. So we're going to do a cloud. So that's my third copy. Theoretically, your SD card should be your fourth copy, but we know that's not permanent. But you have 4 copies of your images before you even start editing. That's huge. Image loss can ruin a business. It can make you go crazy. It's the worst feeling in the world, and it's a completely preventable error. You know, external drives can run $100–200. It's a huge investment in your business. It's a small investment for the protection that it gives you, and it protects your personal property too, and your clients and your business and everything. And then when I deliver the final images to my client gallery, that's also in a cloud. So that is going to be technically my 5th backup. But when all is said and done, the only backups that I'm going to have, after I deliver everything, I can clear it off of my main drive. I'm going to have it here on my master. I'm going to have it here on the cloud. So those will be my raw images plus my final images. Then I'll also have a copy here where the client delivery is. So now I have my cards and I'm going to import them. So I have my card in my computer. So I'm going to go to my folder that I have organized by session, so it's easy to locate what I'm looking for, by year. And then I'm going to create my client name. So we're going to go with Sally Smith. So I always do last name, first name. Immediately create an import folder. And then immediately create a folder for every single card that was used that I have. I do it this way, and I don't dump it into one big folder, because if you are shooting a wedding or shooting a session with multiple bodies, it's easy to come home and now you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 SD cards sitting in front of you. Even the most tedious person can miss one. So this way I know if there's images in these folders, those cards were backed up. It's kind of a foolproof plan for me. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go into my SD card and import. For the sake of time, I'm going to pretend that I have 2 cards. I'm only going to use one, and I'm only going to take a couple images. Normally I'd import the whole thing, but that could take up to 15 minutes. I don't want to keep you that long. So now I'm going to go to card 2, pretend this is a second card, import those images as well. So what's really nice now is I have all my images imported, I have all of my cards ready to go, and I'm going to go over here on the left to my master drive. So my master drive is on the left, my editing drive is on the right. It's set up very much like my other drive. And I'm going to copy this client's images folder here. So now I have an immediate backup of my raw files, and that's going to back up to a cloud. Now I have 3 copies. So we're going to go into Lightroom and do a little bit of prep. One thing that's important is every time you do a session, you want to do a new Lightroom catalog. All these tips in Lightrooms are going to help speed your system up significantly. So I do new catalog, and I'm going to go into my master drive now that that is backed up. It's important. You don't want your catalog on the same drive that you're editing off of, because when you unplug it later with Smart Previews that I'll explain, you will lose your catalog and it won't work. So you have to make sure wherever you store your catalog, whether it's on your computer or on another drive, it's not on the drive that you're uploading and culling from. So I'm going to go right here to my backups, and I'm going to go to that backup folder of my client, and this is where I'm going to put their drive or their catalog. So I'm going to name it exactly like I have their folder name and hit create. It's immediately going to close down and relaunch with the new catalog. If you ever want to reopen a new catalog, you just go to File, Open Catalog, go to that client folder, and it will be right there for you. So here you go, it's relaunching with the new catalog name. Really simple, only takes a couple seconds. And you're ready to go. You have a clean, fresh catalog just with the images you're going to import. So we're going to leave that be for a second and go to Photo Mechanic. This is Photo Mechanic. It's amazing. Whether you have it, you're considering it. It's a lifesaver. It's $150 and it's worth every penny because it gives you hours and hours and hours and hours back onto your life from editing because it quickly loads your images. So first thing we're going to do is go to Control-O or Open Contact Sheet. This is basically saying where do you want to get your images from. So we're going to go down to our editing. This is important, not our backup. Our editing, external, and pull up those images because again we need this separate from where the catalog is stored. Otherwise when you go to unplug this, you'll lose it. So Sally Smith, import, and we're going to do it by card. So you double click it, you're going to see there's no images here. That's okay. As long as your folder is the same as your card, then you're ready to go. You hit select folder and it's going to quickly load all of your images. I'm going to do the same thing. This time I'm just going to do Control-O or File, Open Contact Sheet, and it's going to bring up your File Explorer, and I'm going to do Card 2. What's really great is up here on the tabs, it's by your folder name. So if you have Card 1, Card 2, you know where you're culling. So there's a whole process when you get into Lightroom, or excuse me, Photo Mechanic, on how to label them. You can do 1 through 9, I think, and sort your images, color code them, what are good images, rejected images, images that you might use in your portfolio. I simply label them by pressing 3, that highlights them orange, and then those are the ones I'm just going to bring into Lightroom. You can get more technical with it, but this is just going to be a real quick rundown. So I double click my images, and you're going to see they almost immediately load. So I can see what's in focus, what's not. I don't have in front of the computer for hours waiting for things to focus. So I'm going to go back to the start here and hit 3 on every image I might use. And then I'm going to click out of that. So here at the bottom, you can see there's a row of different color coordinations. All you're going to do, this checkbox right here indicates if the filter is on or off. And so I have my filters on, so I'm going to simply go to the orange highlight, and that's going to leave me with the photos that I selected. I'm going to hit Control-A, and then go into Lightroom. I'm in my library mode. I'm going to import. This is awesome here. With all your files selected, you're going to drag and drop them right into Lightroom, and Lightroom is immediately going to bring up your folder, which ones you've selected, and you can hit import. Now this is really important here. On the right side, you're going to see it says Build Smart Previews. You always want to check that because it's going to basically build a picture of your image, and that's what you're going to edit off of. It's going to speed it up significantly because you don't need the original file location. So every time you go to load a new file, it's not going to load every single file location. Sometimes that's what really slows it down. So I'm going to hit import, and it's going to only import the image that I selected. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other card. And I'm going to quickly cull here by pressing 3 on the images that I want. And again, I'm going to go right down here and select my orange. You can check that box on or off to do the filter. So I'm going to have my final images, Control A for select all, import, and then drag and drop. And again, it's going to locate that folder and that drive with the images I selected and import them. It's going to build smart previews. Now when you're importing a gallery that's 2,000-3,000 photos, even 200-300 photos, you're going to notice building the smart previews takes a lot longer than the regular initial import, what you're used to without smart previews, but it's going to make it life easier when you start editing. So I have all photographs selected. I'm going to go into my develop mode. Now once that's loaded, you can close down Photo Mechanic. You don't need it. You're good to go. But I'm just going to select an image here. Dad's not really looking in that one. And I'm going to hit my develop mode. So here's one thing that's important before I go to develop. So you see right here it says original plus smart preview. What that's saying is the preview that you're going to edit off of is created and your original location is plugged in. I'm going to now unplug my external drive and it should say only smart preview available. So what that's telling me is that the smart previews are the only thing now that we're going to edit with. So now that it has changed to smart view only, and now I don't have images that are constantly loading when I select these images. To the naked eye, you won't be able to tell the difference with your smart preview and your original image. So now I can edit everything pretty quickly. You're going to see this is moving along pretty well. And I'm just going to get a real quick edit here. What's a good one? So I'm just going to start with a base one. And if I'm happy with my image, this looks good enough. Let's say I've edited all my images and I want to export them now. So I am going to export and I'm going to put it in my client folder. Actually, I'm sorry. Ignore me. We're going to plug our external back in. We cannot export edited images without the original file. So that's going to load, and I'm going to wait till it says the original. There we go. Original and smart previews back. I'm going to do one more edit just to give us two examples. Okay, so I have two images selected that I want to export. So now I'm plugged back in. This is important because I can't export it without the original file. So now I'm going to export and I'm going to hit specific folder and choose. And I'm going to go and click the initial folder here. So Sally Smith. We see her Lightroom catalog and her import folder. We're just going to hit select folder. And then I'm going to check this box right here. It says put in subfolder. And then I'm going to write final. Because these are my final exported JPEG images. And that's going to export it back into my final one. So now if we go into that final folder, we can see that those images are right there. You can back them up directly to your backup. That's what I usually do, or you can back them up into your editing external and then export them a backup copy into the backup folder, however you want to do it. But what's really great about this is now when you're done, you have your client folder, your Lightroom catalog here if you ever need to reload that. You have your original images, all your RAWs. Then you have your final exported JPEGs. So that's kind of really quick rundown of the process, and pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Photo Mechanic, editing with smart previews, and editing off externals will speed up your editing process tenfold. So I highly recommend looking into those things if you're not doing them already.